Over 130 million children and adolescents worldwide, ages 5 through 19, are diagnosed with ADHD. There's over 366 million adults worldwide that are diagnosed with ADHD. And this data here, according to Forbes magazine, was back from 2020. In the recent years, there was a 50% increase, roughly,
Gosh.
in the diagnosis of ADHD. What is ADHD?
So ADHD is, simply put, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Um, so it's not a medical disease as you would classify, say, for example, if you're a diabetic, say if you had high blood pressure,
Right.
or if you had heart disease, right? That's a
Right.
disease. Um, However, Jordan Peterson, he's a Harvard trained psychologist, actually stated that most of the time it's a rubbish diagnosis.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing because
He said
ADHD,
in rare cases it is
right,
correctly diagnosed. However, most of the time it's a rubbish diagnosis because it's not, even according to WebMD, there's not a specific test, like a test that you take and to see if you have ADHD or not. So what it is you have to,
how is it diagnosed?
so you have to fall into a specific group of, I think it's 6 symptoms if you're a child, or
Okay.
5 specific symptoms if you're an adult.
Well, let's look at some of these symptoms. So here are the symptoms of ADHD: aggression, excitability, fidgeting, hyperactivity, impulsivity, irritability, absent-mindedness, difficulty focusing, forgetfulness, problem paying attention, anger, anxiety, boredom, excitement, mood swings, depression, or learning disability.
Gosh, I hope I don't have to take that test,
Wow.
especially when I'm tired. Um,
That is actually why it is more prevalent in boys, right?
right. So it's definitely more prevalent in boys, especially boys that are strong-willed,
And creative,
um, and not getting a lot of physical activity, I would say, based on the
right,
articles that we read.
right,
It's huge because boys generally have, generally speaking, of course, again, we with girls, of course, but generally speaking, boys really have to get out there and play until they drop to the point of
right,
exhaustion.
right.
Um,
But that's with all of us.
sure.
I mean, you can only sit for so long before you actually, I get irritated. I
Right.
need to move around. I need
Right.
to do something. So, yeah, definitely. It's alarming though, because when you look at medical histories of children and adults, it's almost normal and
So
very common.
So when you're
Yes.
a dental hygienist,
Yes.
how often did you see
This
ADHD
is true.
on a child's
ADHD,
chart?
yes, was there for like at least 50% of the children, or even more, had ADHD checked. And it was almost, hey, my child will not behave while you're trying to clean their teeth because they have ADHD. So it's something that's really
It's really prevalent.
accepted
Yeah.
in our community.
Mhm.
It's accepted as a condition that's so true and so real. And unfortunately, how is this? How do they treat ADHD?
So that's what bothers us, really. The first, according to the articles that I've read, most of the time the first line is medications.
For sure.
They could be in conjunction with like a
Behavioral
therapy.
Yes.
But most of the time it's just medication straight up front.
Yes, I was looking at data, and I think it was the CDC website where it said that only 15% of the diagnoses are treated only with counseling. The rest,
sure.
Behavioral. The rest is treated with medication.
And this one example of a specific medication is Adderall. So Adderall, it's an amphetamine. So it deals with your central nervous system. It speeds everything up. It is addictive.
Highly
addictive. It's bad for your heart. bad for your entire cardiovascular system, bad for your brain. It can literally change the
Yes.
structure of your brain.
That's amazing.
It can literally change the structure of the brain.
That is concerning.
It impacts your emotional health, emotional
yes,
well-being.
Yes.
And
so now you have a 5-year-old child who is diagnosed with ADHD, placed
so as early
on
as age
Adderall.
5, they can place them on Adderall.
Adderall takes away the emotions, right?
Mm-hmm. Many times after they get on medication, they have to go see doctors
And it
every
shrinks the
so
brain.
often, just to make sure how are they tolerating it, how are they reacting to it. It's dangerous. So
and it's interesting that if you Google this, it actually says it's a condition that's not curable.
Right.
So you're going to be on these meds according to Google, many articles on Google, so you can check it out for yourselves for the rest of your life. This is really concerning. Well, remember, recently I went and I had my hair done, and my hairstylist, I don't know how we got into talking of what we do, and she was telling me that in 2nd grade, her mom moved her a few times. So this is a little child that is 8 years old,
right.
around 8 years old, got moved so many times, had a few different fathers. And in 2nd grade, her teacher wasn't liking her behavior, which was understandable that she was misbehaving.
She had a tough life at home.
Yeah. Yes, she did. So she talked to her mom, and the teacher, the mom, and the doctor decided to put her on Adderall. So as a kid, she was forced to take this. She said she didn't like how she felt, but continued taking it. In high school, she tried to get off of it, but could not study, could not concentrate, could not live without it. So she decided to continue taking it until when she was 23 years old. She said it was the worst thing that happened to her, is trying to get off of these meds. But she was able to get off. She's in her 30s now. Mm-hmm. She's doing wonderful. But it was interesting that she shared that story. And she does not have ADHD. It was just, she was a misbehaved child because
we've seen it in other examples as well. So if it's in fact an overblown diagnosis, right. Not that it doesn't exist,
right,
but if it's in fact an overblown diagnosis, that's a big mistake to be making.
Right.
Putting a child or even adult on an amphetamine.
Right.
And saying that it's going to be for the rest of their lives.
Right.
When we looked into it, there's many other factors also that can contribute to the symptoms.
Right.
As you mentioned, in her case, she had a tough childhood.
Right. So now you're taking Adderall. It makes you feel like you are on drugs.
It can also curb your feelings, right? Your emotions.
But the main thing is it changes the shape of your brain. Right. So now you're taking this, and how's your life going to be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now if you continue taking that?
Right.
It's also, when we look at rates of other conditions, you wonder how come a lot of people end up with Alzheimer's. Where's all of that coming from?
Right. Why is it such a high rate now compared to?
And why is it something that we haven't heard 50, 100 years ago? We haven't heard about it, but now it's very, very common.
And why are we accepting all of this?
Why are we accepting this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So over the next few episodes, we want to discuss with you guys some of the things that could be causing the symptoms of ADHD. We hope that you guys like and subscribe and hit the notification button and share it with everyone who could benefit from this information.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. See you next time. Ciao.
Take care.